At first, many people thought it was fake news. Others thought it was just a crazy rumor from Azimio. But now, it is not only confirmed, but I'm sure many of you, or at least some of you, have had a chance to see a copy of John Githongo's affidavit presented to the Supreme Court of Kenya to support the petition of Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, it is difficult for me to find the words to describe the impact of this document, because it details exactly how the elections were stolen from Kenyans. It details the massive fraud that was committed against the Kenyan people by a few people who want to grab power by force, who want to grab power in a very corrupt, illegal way. And one of the very craziest things is that the information in this dossier confirms a lot of what we've been discussing on this channel. It confirms a lot of what people have seen unfold on August 9th, 2022 and the days that followed. It solves so many mysteries that we have seen. For instance, people are wondering, why is it that in Raila Odinga's strongholds, he appears to have less votes than the other people on ODM tickets for the same polling station or constituency or county? That was a real puzzle. Well, John Githongo's affidavit says it all. It reveals what really happened on August 9th, and in great detail. It is information that may be very difficult to believe. But hey, this is a sworn affidavit. And it is done by a man who loves his country. A man who has gotten a reputation for being a whistleblower, John Githongo. You know, during the Kibaki era, during the scandal that came to be known as the Anglo-leasing scandal, where the Kenyan treasury lost billions, John Githongo was offered money to keep quiet and look the other way. And he has personally told me, because I've known him for years, that the money he was offered was the kind of money you cannot imagine. The kind of money that would have meant for the rest of his life he would never have needed to worry about money. Yeah? But this great Kenyan said no. And instead he had to go into exile. He had to flee the country to save his own life. That is the man who has presented an affidavit to the Supreme Court of Kenya. And therefore, even if you are a UDA supporter, naive, very young, with no experience, but you just love the deputy president, and you don't want any negative news about the deputy president, even if you're that, you have to acknowledge that this is a serious matter, presented by a serious man who loves his country. Well, that is what my show is about today. I break down the details of this affidavit for you, especially the most damning evidence that proves what happened on August 9th. In fact, before I start the show today, I want you to listen to James Orengo, because he summarizes all the evidence they have in a very clear way, so that you hear for yourself. And then after that, we'll go straight into the show, because I have a lot to unpack for you today. You need popcorn, you need coffee. Hii mambo ni mazito sana. Right guys, twende kasi.
and particularly the presidential election. We think that election amounted to a civilian coup to the effect that every rule of the game was violated. We are bringing into focus many other things, including the commission itself. The commission has become a cesspool of transgressions and criminality, and we're accusing the chairperson of the commission for running the commission in a very dictatorial manner. We are also taking into account the manner in which the technology that was used in the conduct of the elections was abused, and we have evidence where systems, networks, laptops, and the entire KIMS kits were corrupted in order to achieve a result in favor of Mr. Ruto. I have never seen a most corrupt election in our country. In fact, if elections are held in a manner like was held in the 9th of August, there is no use to have elections if they can be held in the manner that we experienced on the 9th of August this year.
Are you confident?
We are very confident. I've participated in many petitions. This one, I can tell you, is a bombshell. And we've got so many smoking guns. And I think at the conclusion of this petition, you're going to have a determination in favor of Raila Amolo Odinga. We have got a cocktail of orders that we want from the court, but we could have a rerun if the court so orders. But we think we have circumstances in which the court can actually retaliate the forms, 34As, 34Bs, and take account and determine the person who really won the elections. And indeed, we want the declaration by Chebukati quashed, and if it is quashed, it means like nothing happened. So the matter can go back to the Electoral Commission, but minus Chebukati. We are accusing Chebukati of criminal conduct, of transgressions that amount to violation of leadership and integrity requirements as spelled out in our Constitution.
Wah. Now, how did James Orengo describe the Azimio petition currently before the Supreme Court? His choice of words was very interesting. He said that he has handled many presidential petitions, and we know that to be true. But he singled out this one as being the bombshell. Now, to start our show today, I want to share some wisdom from some old African elders so that we understand precisely where we are as a country and what is happening. And I'm going to share wisdom from two major communities in Kenya, the House of Mumbi and our Luo brethren. Two beautiful tribes in our country, two communities in our country that have made major contributions to the Kenya we have today. Now, my command of this particular language is not very good, and so accept my apologies in advance. Let us start at the House of Mumbi. There is a proverb that says, Mwishi utari munyite ni muria gake. What that means is that stolen goods belong to the thief if he's not caught. Very interesting words of wisdom. Now, let's move over to Luoland, where we will seek an answer to that problem. Here goes. Ongeyo moro minyalo makgo jakuo, mak mana kitiyo gi mtego. What that means is that there's no way to catch a thief except that you set a trap. Wow. Is this what has happened in Kenya? Are we about to see this unfold before our very eyes? Well, I'm not sure if you've checked out WIB number 83, but if you haven't, I advise you do. Right. Githongo's dossier. Yeah. Now, it is very important that we start by understanding what a sworn affidavit is. An affidavit is a written statement confirmed by oath. And there's a way to take this oath. Yeah, there are lawyers who administer it, so that you say what you're saying in the document is nothing but the truth. And of course, the consequences are that if there's anything in that document you're saying that is a lie, you could easily end up in jail. This is serious. It's like going before a court of law, and while under oath, you tell a lie. And of course, you're caught. And it is established beyond any reasonable doubt that you lied. That is criminal. I just thought this was important, because some UDA youngsters born the other day have been running all over the place telling people, this is nothing. Hakuna kitu hapa. This is nothing. And then the comment by a senior counsel, was even more interesting. Instead of challenging the contents of Githongo's affidavit, they said Githongo can say anything that Baba Raila Odinga tells him to say. Now, that is not relevant. What would have been happy to know, because he's a lawyer, are legal details, legal information related to this affidavit that would have been useful. But just throwing barbs at John Githongo and Raila Odinga is not going to help anybody. But then, of course, Kenyans have come to accept that kind of approach as classic UDA tactics. So I guess it's nothing new, nothing to surprise anybody. Now, in my considered opinion, John Githongo's affidavit is much more than explosive. It is the kind of affidavit, because many people don't know this. I've seen people on social media saying that they're expecting witnesses before the Supreme Court to testify. Well, I have news for them. Mtangoja sana, tena sana, to see any witnesses appearing before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in any country is not the place for that kind of drama. And therefore, what the Supreme Court will do is to consider the documented evidence before it, and to ask questions. The judges will ask questions, and to allow lawyers to highlight particular parts of the evidence they have presented, or particular parts of their defense against certain evidence. And therefore, one of the best ways of presenting evidence is through sworn affidavits, like what John Githongo has done. Now, the information in John Githongo's affidavit is from an insider, a young man who was actually involved in this rigging scheme, this massive fraud against the people of Kenya. And this young man has come forward. He's a whistleblower, and he has revealed everything, details of how they were actually doing it. Because let's face it, let's tell the truth. William Samoei Ruto and Raila Odinga, who is the more popular candidate? Let's just tell ourselves the truth. For those of us who have been observing political developments on the ground, I can tell you that William Samoei Ruto only has a stronghold in the Rift Valley. Outside the Rift Valley, he has pockets of support. In the Mount Kenya region, as was proved by the turnout, is overhyped, is overrated. Too much praise has been given to him. But I guess that is part of his perception game, where he has been very clever to give us the impression and to paint us a picture of him being so popular in the Mount Kenya region. That is the truth. Raila Odinga has been in politics for a long time. He has won previous presidential elections, although he has never ascended into power. But the man has massive support countrywide. There is no way you can convince me that William Samoei Ruto can beat Raila Odinga in an election. Not at the moment, maybe in the future. But right now, not true. And so many Kenyans have been puzzled. Many Kenyans have been convinced that the election was rigged. Pop, 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 pop! Duly elected. Manenos. But now for the first time, an insider has told us exactly and precisely how it was done. Now, according to the John Githongo affidavit, which is based on details from this whistleblower, in Ruto strongholds, the votes were exaggerated for William Samoei Ruto. And votes were taken from Raila Odinga's count, from genuine votes Raila Odinga had gotten, and added to William Samoei Ruto. Now, in the thousands and thousands of polling stations in the Rift Valley, you can be sure this tends to add up very quickly in favor of William Samoei Ruto. Now, in strongholds of Raila Odinga, what was happening is that again Raila Odinga votes were being reduced, his genuine votes, and they were being handed over to William Samoei Ruto. And then the young man revealed something else. In polling stations countrywide, small numbers of votes, very small, so tiny that you wouldn't notice, were being snatched away from Raila Odinga and given to William Samoei Ruto. Now, we also have evidence from elsewhere that even Wanjakoya, the weed-loving professor, his votes were stolen and handed over to William Samoei Ruto. And remember, all this was being done by this young man after the results landed in the UDA tallying center, which was actually now more powerful than the IEBC tallying center. The results were being received there from Kim's Kids countrywide, edited, adjusted, votes taken from somebody and given to somebody else. And then after they were satisfied, after they were done, those results were beamed to the IEBC portal, where unsuspecting Kenyans downloaded them and started doing figures and were puzzled. How come Ruto is leading? And meanwhile, Bwana Chebukati was busy telling us, this is a very open election. Anybody can download the results from the portal. Oh, it is so free and fair. This is a perfect election. Oh, now we know what may have happened. In fact, John Githongo's affidavit makes a lot of sense. It confirms things we saw unfold before our very eyes. For instance, we saw that in Raila Odinga's strongholds, he was getting fewer votes than ODM candidates vying for other seats like governor, MP, and so on and so forth, which was puzzling because in your stronghold, the wave is with you, it's with Raila Odinga. And therefore these other names, the governors and the MPs, a vast majority of them are getting their votes, courtesy of the name of Raila Odinga. And then you look at the results, you see Raila Odinga's results are less than his candidates. Didn't make sense. But now we understand. Because the affidavit tells us very clearly that in Raila Odinga's strongholds, his votes were reduced and given to William Samoei Ruto. Yeah, makes perfect sense now. And that's not all. The affidavit names names. Yeah. You know, if you're risking with a sworn affidavit and you go as far as mentioning names, what does it mean? It means that the person doing this is very sure of their facts. Otherwise, at the earliest opportunity, these individuals mentioned would take legal action against John Githongo. And therefore this adds to the authenticity of this document. Bottom line, the content of this document is so mind-boggling, is so crazy, we can actually say it is crazier than fiction, and therefore it is highly unlikely to be fiction. You can't invent stuff like this. You can't. And of course, all this was in line with the UDA mantra. Ruto must be president. He must. Ruto must be president. Kwani iko nini? Ruto must be president. What? And people are not caring about the rights of Kenyans. Those Kenyans who voted. People are rubbishing how Kenyans voted. It is so important for some people to become president that your opinion is irrelevant. How you voted is irrelevant. They go ahead and do what we have seen described in great detail in this document. Now, in my opinion, this document, this sworn affidavit by John Githongo could be the game changer. Because, think about it, is there any need for the Supreme Court to sit for days analyzing results that were manufactured somewhere in Karen? Is it really worth their time? Is it really worth the time of the nation? Because if it is proved, and by the way, the super fascinating thing here is that we already have evidence from other quarters, independent sources, that actually the results were adjusted. And we all know what the law says. Results from polling stations are final. They can never, ever be adjusted. But people like George Njoroge, who was doing the IT work for Azimio, has told us, has evidence, which I believe is already in the Supreme Court, proving that those results were adjusted. And therefore this confirms what is in the affidavit. Folks, this could be game over. What? Now, my very latest Weekly Intelligence Briefings number 84 is due to be released in a few hours. And in WIB number 84, there is information linked to this John Githongo affidavit, very closely linked, that was too hot for this public channel. And therefore, if you're already a member, expect that WIB in your inbox shortly. Just be patient. Itakuja. Moto kuliko pasi ya makaa, I can assure you. And of course, if you're not yet a member, do take advantage of our brand new offer. The year in which we passed our new Constitution, 2010, for only 2010, you'll be able to get WIB number 84 and even number 83, ambayo ilikuwa moto kama pasi ya makaa pia, and all the other WIBs from number 1 to number 84. Highly sensitive stuff. I believe you can already see details on your screens right now, showing you how to become a member if you're not yet a member. Rush and take advantage, because again, this offer will not last. Yeah, it'll only be up for the next 48 hours or so. So you'd better hurry, because after this offer is over, we'll go back to our usual rates, which are pretty high. What we have now is only a fraction, and you need this information, especially over the next 2 weeks or so, in fact over the next months, because so many crazy things are going to happen, and so you need to be ahead of the game. And some of this information is just too hot to handle, can't be put on the public channel, and therefore it will be a huge advantage for you if you're a WIB subscriber. Now, I appreciate the fact that many analysts are still in shock. Nobody has really analyzed this John Githongo affidavit. But I'm sure in the days and weeks to come, more and more analysts will break it down, and Kenyans will be able to realize that this one is explosive, highly explosive, a game changer. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.